Hey everyone, it's Karen with Yes Please PaperCrafts, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how you can take decorative napkins like these and turn them into embellishments and paper that you can use on your scrapbooking and card making projects. So a few months ago I posted a video on my channel where I was sharing some items that I had purchased from Tuesday mornings. And I love Tuesday mornings, and one of the things I love to look for when I go there are decorative napkins, because they have a huge selection at my store and they will often put them on clearance. And so when I was there the last time, I was able to pick up a couple of different packs of these decorative napkins. And I had this one here, which has these kind of patriotic images. And when I was sharing it in the video, I said, wouldn't this make cute embellishments for a scrapbook layout? And mentioned that I had a technique that I have used in the past where you can fuse paper napkins to cardstock and then use it on all kinds of different projects. And so I said, well, if y'all are interested in finding out more or learning about the technique, I will create a video. And I had so many people leave comments saying that they wanted to see a video, but it just has taken me a little bit of time to kind of get my everything together to kind of show y'all how to do this project. It's been a long time since I've actually done this technique, and I didn't create this technique. It's out there on YouTube everywhere. There's a lot of people that have videos showing you how to do this. And I think the first time I ever saw it was probably about 10 years ago. And I saw someone do this in a YouTube video, and I can't remember whose channel it was, but I was using it to make cards. And doing this technique and using it on cards is super awesome. I never really thought too much though about using it for scrapbooking until just recently, but I just got back into scrapbooking probably about 3 years ago. So I was mainly doing card making for probably about 10 or 15 years, and then I switched back over to scrapbooking about 3 years ago. And but anyway, I haven't done this technique in a while, and I kind of had to play around with it just to make sure that I could explain it to you in the video. But it's a lot of fun, and you don't really have to have many supplies to do it. Probably most of what you need is already in your kitchen. And then you just need some decorative napkins and some cardstock and an iron. Okay, so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the napkins first, and then we'll get into how you actually do the technique to fuse the napkin to your cardstock. So when I saw this, I thought, wouldn't that make cute die cuts? And so I think that this would be perfect for that. So I decided to go ahead and use this napkin, and I did some fussy cutting, and I'll show you guys what I made. Okay, so these are all the die cuts that came from one of the napkins. And some of these are a little bit interesting because my dog Bella helped me fussy cut out a few of these. So she loves paper, and I think a few of them had fallen on the floor, and she decided that maybe she would add her own touch there. But I think most of these came out pretty good, the ones that I actually fussy cut. I love these little barbecue sauce bottles, and I just thought this was so cute because it has such a retro feel, and it's kind of old-fashioned looking and distressed. But that's really just because that's what the napkin looks like. So let me go ahead and open up the napkin here so y'all can kind of look at the entire thing. So this is all of the different images that are available on this particular napkin, and I was able to take this and fuse it onto a 12 by 12 cardstock paper and then cut it out. Okay, so some napkins make really good cards, and I'm going to show y'all one of those. So some of the napkins have what I call a repetitive pattern, and when you open up the napkin, you'll see 4 different pattern or designs repeated over and over again. And so this napkin right here would be perfect for making cards because you would be able to make 4 different cards from this one napkin. So I think that's really cool. So when you're looking at the napkins, you'll see some like this, which have the repeating pattern. And then you might find some like this one here. This one has, it kind of has a repeating pattern, but it can also be used as a design in and of itself, because the overall design of it is such that it looks like a cohesive design and you don't have things that look like they're upside down. So I was able to take one of these napkins, which I think is gorgeous. I just love the colors of this napkin. And I turned it into a piece of 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper. How awesome is that? So this is just the most gorgeous paper. And one of the things I love about this technique is that when you fuse the napkin to your paper, it makes your paper feel like it's fabric, which I think is super awesome. So it gives a lot of texture to the paper. And I think the colors that you can get are just gorgeous. And one of the things you might notice is that my paper is curling up a little bit. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when I show you the process. And there's a reason why I was having trouble with that. It has to do with my iron not working right. Okay, so you can make 12 by 12 paper. You can make the fronts of cards, greeting cards. You can make embellishments and die cuts. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this technique. So one of the other things that I wanted to mention was that I think with scrapbooking, a lot with scrapbooking is kind of capturing memories and recording the story. And so I was thinking about it and I thought, well, wouldn't that be cool if you had napkins that were for a special occasion, like a wedding or a birthday or the birth of a baby. And a lot of times people will have things printed on the napkins. It's like custom napkins. And I was thinking that would be super awesome if you wanted to incorporate that into your scrapbook layout. You could take the napkin and do this technique. I don't actually have any napkins like that, at least not any that I have on hand. I have had them in the past, and I think I have them probably somewhere with my memorabilia. But I did have this one here, which just has this foiling on it that says happy birthday. I tried this one out just to see how well it would work, and it worked perfectly. So this is really cool, and I think it's kind of neat that you can incorporate napkins like this, the ones that are personalized, into your scrapbooking using this technique. Okay, so some of the other ones that I have here, I wanted to show y'all, if you have a Tuesday mornings close by you and you love napkins, y'all need to go and check out their napkins, because this is one of the ones I found at Tuesday mornings. And I think this is the most gorgeous colors. Isn't this pretty? I just love this one. Now this is one that's repeated 4 times, but I still think that you could use this either in scrapbooking or in a card. Or for a card. And so I think that's just gorgeous. And then here's another one that I got at Tuesday mornings. A lot of these did come from Tuesday mornings. Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to use these for entertaining. And so I will purchase the napkins, and then I will take out maybe 5 or 10 of the napkin, depending on how well I like the pattern, and I will put it with my crafting items, and then I will just use the rest of it in my kitchen when I entertain. This is another one that I found at Tuesday mornings. I just think it's so pretty. And this one's kind of interesting because it's almost like it's like a repeating pattern, but it's a repeating pattern. This whole pattern down here repeats on the other side over there. So I think that's really awesome. So depending on the napkins that you purchase, you know, it might have an overall pattern, a repeating pattern that's just twice, or a repeating pattern that's 4 times. Okay, so let's talk about the supplies you need to make this project. You're going to need some parchment paper and also some plastic wrap, and you can use either the cling wrap like I have here, or you could also use the press and seal. So any plastic wrap, no matter what the brand is, should work. And you're also going to need an iron or a heat press, and you're going to need an iron that gets very hot, because you're going to be using the iron on the linen setting, or the highest setting that you have on your iron. Okay, so the parchment paper, you could possibly get away with not using that if you're using an iron that you don't care about. But if you're using your good iron, you definitely want to use the parchment paper, because it protects your iron from getting any of the plastic wrap on it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is to choose the napkin that we want to work with, and then we're going to need to figure out how many layers of the napkin there are, so that we can peel all the layers until we get to just the layer that has the printing. because you want only one layer when you're doing this. Otherwise, the napkin is not going to stick to your cardstock. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you one where I thought I had it down to the last layer and I didn't, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so here is the napkin that I was working with, and I had this napkin peeled down to I thought was the last layer, and then I realized once I pressed it down and fused it together that just the underneath layer stuck down to the cardstock, and the napkin just peeled right off. So you do want to make sure that you get all of these extra layers off of the napkin before you try to fuse it to your cardstock. Now, one of the things that I think is very interesting about napkins is that they come in what's called a 2-ply or a 3-ply. At least I think that's all of the different ones that they have. And when you look at the packaging for the napkin, it should actually be listed on there how many ply it is. And I never really knew what that was until I watched that YouTube video 10 years ago when the person explained that the different plies are the layers of napkin. So this napkin here, which is just a basic pink napkin, is a 3-ply napkin. And what that means is that there's 3 layers. There's 2 under layers and then the top layer. And so if you have a 3-ply napkin, you're going to need to peel off 2 layers before you get to the actual top layer. And if you have a 2-ply napkin, you would only need to peel off 1 layer. So that's kind of important to know. Now, if you have napkins and you have no idea of how many layers there are, then you can just keep trying to peel the layers off until you get one that looks very transparent. It should look almost see-through like this, where you don't really have any white or color showing through. Okay, so let me go ahead and pick out one of these napkins. Which one should we do? Let's go with this one here because I think it's so pretty. Let's go ahead and see if we can use this one. And I keep doing this with my iron because my iron turns itself off, and I just want to make sure that the iron stays hot while I'm doing this video. Okay, so I'm going to show y'all a trick that I kind of learned from someone. I watched somebody's big video. Her name is, I believe it's Ingrid Blackburn. I'll put a link to Ingrid's channel in the description below, and I hope I said her name correctly. But basically, if you look at the back of a napkin, you will see all of this embossing, and it's usually around the edge of the napkin. And so if you try to just sit here and try to peel this napkin apart, it might take you a while to get that apart. But she shared a trick that I thought was so clever. And what you're going to do is you're going to just rub your finger over the embossing. And you can also use your bone folder or embossing tool or anything that you have. But you just want to rub your finger over it and be gentle because the napkin is very delicate and it can tear. But you're just going to rub over the napkin and kind of break apart that embossing. So you can see the difference between the place where I haven't pressed in and rubbed over the embossing and this corner where I have kind of rubbed out all of that embossing. That embossing is what holds the layers together. So if you take away the embossing, then the napkin should just come right apart just like this. Isn't that awesome? I just think that's so cool. Okay, so one of the things you'll notice here is that I actually have a 3-layer napkin. You can see this is 1 layer, and then there's a second layer here. It's kind of giving me, it's actually separated, but I'm just having trouble with my hands here getting a hold of it. What I like to do is don't really try to pull both of these layers off because you have a bigger chance of tearing your napkin. You really want to tear this one off first, and it should come off fairly easily. And then work on pulling away the second one. Now, you want to be very careful, and you can see there's a lot more resistance in these 2 layers. And if you're having trouble peeling this apart, you can just rub your finger over any area where it's kind of sticking together, and it should come apart much easier. But just be really gentle with it and just be very slow and just take your time. and you can just peel off that layer. All right. So now that we have our napkin here, I'm going to grab my ironing board and we're going to go ahead and fuse this napkin onto some cardstock. Okay, so I have my portable ironing board here. This is just one of those little mini ironing boards you hang over the back of a door. And I have some parchment paper, and this parchment paper I have been using over and over and over again. So the parchment paper, you can just keep using it, and you don't have to throw it away every time. Eventually, if it gets really worn or it has a lot of adhesive on it and it's maybe sticking to your project, you can go ahead and get yourself some new parchment, but you don't have to replace the parchment paper for each napkin that you fuse. Okay, so the other thing we're going to need to do, besides having our napkin, we're going to need to cut a piece of the plastic wrap a little bit bigger than the napkin. So what I like to do is I like to make the plastic wrap bigger because it's going to shrink up. And if you make the plastic wrap exactly the same size or slightly smaller than your napkin, the edge of the napkin is not going to get fused down to your cardstock. Okay, so the first step for me is I like to iron the napkin first because I like to get these creases out of the napkin. And sometimes if you do the fusing at the same time as ironing out the creases, the glue kind of binds the creases together. And so, you know, it just stays wrinkled. So if you want to get the creases out of the napkin, you can go ahead and just iron it a little bit first. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And this one in particular, I'm not really sure I would use this all as one piece. You especially want to iron your napkin if you're going to use this as one sheet of paper. Okay, so I'm going to be using the press and seal just because this to me is a little bit quicker than using the plastic wrap. And it could just be the brand that I have, but this plastic wrap takes longer to melt than my press and seal. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use this press and seal. And I just think it works a little bit better, at least for me. But either the cling wrap or the press and seal should work just as well. So I'm just going to eyeball this and make sure I have enough there. And we shall cut this off. Okay, I think the most challenging part of this entire project is trying to get the plastic the size you need. Especially if you have to cut it with the scissors because it's kind of a pain. Other than that, this is a pretty easy project to do. Okay, so now I need a piece of cardstock. And one of the things that I have been doing, you could use cardstock or you could use pattern paper, pretty much any paper you could fuse to. But I was using up some white, really thin white cardstock that I had just left over, I think, from some albums. So you know how you get a less expensive scrapbook album, like the Hot Buy albums from Michaels? It comes with a piece of white cardstock inside of each of the plastic sleeves, and that white cardstock is super flimsy, and I don't ever use that for scrapbooking, but I use it to do other things like making patterns or just as scrap paper. So I have this paper here and that I've just been collecting over the years, and you can see that it's a very, very flimsy white cardstock, and it's very cheap. So I was using this, and I have quite a bit of it, so I could continue to use that. But I had this idea when I was using a napkin. I thought, well, a lot of my paper, like single-sided paper, has a white background. I wonder if I could just use a piece of white paper or pattern paper and just use the back of it. So I have a stack of what I call my ugly paper. It's like paper I've had for probably 20 years. A lot of it is just really old, and it's kind of, you know, deteriorated, and it's also out of fashion. I think it's funny that scrapbooking kind of follows the same as fashion and home decor. Things go out of style, and it looks old-fashioned. It looks old. Okay, so I have a piece of ugly paper here. Isn't that the most ugliest paper you ever saw? I don't know. One time I was making a video and I pulled out a piece of paper and I called it my ugly paper. And one of my friends got she kind of got a little bit mad at me, and she left me a comment. She says, I just used that on a scrapbook layout, and I like that paper. So I guess I have to be careful what I call ugly. But anyway, so the back of this paper is white, and it's just a very, you know, lightweight paper. So we're going to use this paper. We're going to turn it into a beautiful paper. So the back of the paper is white. We're going to put our cling wrap down. And I like to put the sticky side of the cling wrap down because it just makes it a little bit easier because it sticks to the cardstock or paper that you're going to be using. And you'll notice that I don't get all the wrinkles out. You don't have to get all the wrinkles out. You can just leave those wrinkles there. Just smooth it out as best you can. And then you're going to take your napkin and you're just going to put the napkin there so that it is surrounded by the adhesive. Now I probably, if I was doing this and I wasn't making the video, I would probably cut off a little bit more of this, but that would take me some time with the scissors. It's kind of hard to do. So I'm just going to leave it on there. It's not going to hurt anything because I'm going to have the parchment paper to protect my iron. Okay, so you're kind of making a sandwich, and we're making all of the different layers. So we have our cardstock, we have our plastic wrap, then we have our paper napkin. Okay, and we're going to take 2 pieces of parchment paper. We're going to lay this out over one of the pieces of parchment paper, and then we're going to put the other one on top. Okay, so now that we have our sandwich complete, the next step that you're going to do is just take your iron, and you're just going to lightly press over this entire area. And then you might be asking me, Karen, when do I know it's done? Well, that's just going to depend on a lot of different things. It's going to depend on your plastic wrap. It's going to depend on how hot your iron is. And I don't know, it just depends. But you're going to know when it's fused, and you can keep checking it. So as you go along, you can keep checking it. And one thing that you do want to be careful of, and you can just set it and leave it in one spot for a while. It's not going to hurt it. So while I'm pressing that, let me go ahead and show y'all something that happened when I was doing some testing here. I'm going to move this down. And this is something that you can do and maybe play games on your phone or watch TV. Because it can get a little bit boring to sit here and just, sit here with the iron and fuse this. But you'll notice here, I tried to do this happy birthday napkin, and I had it all laid out, and it was all flat, and I didn't have any creases or wrinkles in it. And then when I was moving the iron back and forth, I managed to wrinkle the napkin, and then it just stuck there like that. And so it created those wrinkles. So you do want to be careful, especially when you get started, that you don't accidentally cause creases in your napkin. Okay, so we're just going to keep moving it around, and you can go ahead and check it. So how you check it is you just go ahead and lift this up and just see if the edge of it lifts up, or if there's any places where it's not adhered. And you can see here that I still have places over here where it's still not stuck down. You can see that. But over here it's completely stuck down. Okay, so we're going to put this back on top, and we will just work on this corner up here, and we'll see if we can get that to get glued down. Okay, so while that's getting hot there, I'm going to show y'all a couple more examples here. So here's another paper that I made. This is with a flowered napkin, and I haven't trimmed it down yet, but you can see here I used an ugly paper on the back. And here is the finished paper. And my napkin was actually a little bit bigger than the 12 by 12 paper. And so I'll just need to trim this down so that it's a 12 by 12 paper. Isn't that gorgeous though? I love this one. It's so pretty. I think that's going to make a really awesome scrapbook layout. I also did this one. Now this is a little bit smaller of a napkin, and so it did not create a full 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And it kind of has a repeating pattern, but it also kind of looks like it could be one design. So I thought that one was really pretty as well. Okay, let me go ahead and check this again and see if it's all stuck down. And that's looking pretty good. So I think this one is done. Now, if you ever do find that you have a place where it's not, well, actually I see this one corner right here. If you see that right there, it's still not stuck down. So let's go ahead and just work on this one corner, and then that should be good. So let's go ahead and put the iron there in that corner. I wanted to also show you guys something that happened with another one that I have here. See if I can find it. Okay, so if you look at this one here, I was fusing this one together, and I was thinking, oh, it's good, it's fused at the edges. But if you notice in the middle, it's kind of bubbling up. I don't know if you can see that. See if I can turn it to the side. You can kind of see how it's really not fused here in the middle and then here on the edge. It just needs a little bit more time. And one of the things I definitely recommend is putting your iron on a dry setting and making sure that you don't add any water to it. So on my iron here, I have this dry setting, which I have set on dry, but when I was working with the iron, I had this reservoir completely full. And even though I had my iron in the dry setting, it was pouring steam out of it. And so I was getting a lot of curling with my paper. My paper was curling up. And so that's one thing that you want to make sure that you do is to turn your iron on a dry setting. Now, one of the other things I wanted to mention is if you're having trouble with a napkin bonding and you're really careful, you can just put the iron right in the middle where it's not touching any of the plastic, and it does get a little bit more heat because you're not going through the parchment paper. But this has a lot of adhesive around it, so I'm going to go ahead and use my parchment paper, and we'll go ahead and fuse this one together a little bit better. Okay, so while I'm doing this, I thought it might be fun to do a little bit of a secret giveaway in this video. And so I have a collection, quite a few napkins. I'd like to share those with you guys. So I'm going to pick one winner from this video. If you would like to leave me a comment with the word napkin, I will randomly pick one winner, and I will send them one or two of each one of the napkins that I have. And I think that would be fun to share this with you guys. So if you want to try this technique and you don't have a lot of napkins and you would like to have some, go ahead and leave me a comment. So in order to enter this giveaway, you will have to be in the U.S. and have an address in the United States. You'll need to be 18 years or older and also be a subscriber to this channel. And then just go ahead and leave me a comment with the word napkin. And then I was also going to say I'll probably leave the giveaway open for a couple weeks. So I will pick a winner. Let's see. Let's pick a winner on January the 10th. That'll be a good day. I just picked that day out the top of my head. So I'm going to have to add that to my calendar to make sure I remember to pick the winner. But I have probably about 30 different napkins, so it'll be quite a few that I'll be sending out. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to share with you guys. But yeah, this is a really easy project to do, and it's really a lot of fun. And I think you can make some really gorgeous paper and embellishments with this. Oh, that was the thing I wanted to share with you. Okay, so I wanted to try something. I have this solid pink napkin, and it's this one right here. And I thought it would be really fun to use this one and make little mini bows because you can make paper bows, but I thought it would be kind of fun to see if I made bows with this, if it would feel like fabric, if it would look like fabric. And so I pulled this napkin apart, and it comes apart in 3 layers. Well, I fused the first layer onto the cardstock, and it was such a light pink. The color of this napkin comes from the fact that there's 3 layers of pink. And so what I ended up doing was I fused on the first layer, then I added more plastic wrap. I fused on a second layer, I added more plastic wrap, and then I fused on the third layer so that I got the exact same color as this napkin. So that if you're going to be using a solid color napkin, you're probably going to have to fuse more layers if all of your layers are colors. If your layers are white, then it's probably not going to matter if you don't include those, but you do want to include any that have pink, okay, or the color. And let me show you all the bows that I made with that. They are so cute. Okay, so here's the paper. So I made this paper. This paper almost feels like velvet. It's super cool. This was just a white cardstock, and then I fused 3 layers of that pink napkin to this white cardstock. And this was the original napkin. So you can see I did get the exact color of the napkin by fusing all 3 of the layers. And then I created these bows. Look at how gorgeous that is. And I don't know if y'all can see this on the camera, how pretty this is. But it feels like velvet. And it's just super cool. A little bit of something on there, but super pretty. And then here's one that I made out of another die that I have. And I'll probably put like a little gem or a pearl in the middle. But it did make a bow that feels just like fabric, so I thought that was super cool. Okay, so that's all I have, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And if you did, please give it a like because it helps me to know what types of videos y'all like to watch. And if you would like to see more videos, please subscribe. I would love to have you join my channel. I also have a short video clip of my 2 dogs, Bella and LilyBelle, at the end of this video if y'all want to stick around for that. But that's all I have. So make sure to leave your comment with the word napkin to get entered into the giveaway. And I hope y'all have an awesome week. So y'all take care. I hope to see you next time. Bye now.
Hi, Miss Bella. What you doing? You look so cute with your little red bow. You're all ready for Christmas. You look like a little Christmas present. Can you be my Christmas present? Can you be my mama's Christmas present? You'd make an awesome present. No, you're not a present. You're a dog. You're a Yorkie. Yeah, you're a Yorkie. Can you tell everybody in the YouTube world Merry Christmas? You said hi, but can you say Merry Christmas? You don't know how? No? You can do it. Come on, say some Merry Christmas. You did it! Awesome! You are awesome. You're so sweet. You're gonna come over here, LilyBelle, and talk to me? Miss LilyBelle. Hi, LilyBelle. What you doing? Are you gonna be Mama's Christmas present too? Cause you got the little red bow. I'm so happy I got your haircut because I can see your little face. I didn't know how much I missed y'all's little faces until I got your haircut. Y'all look adorable. Well, you do. You look adorable. Y'all got anything else you would like to say to the YouTube people? I guess not. Hi, Miss LilyBelle. Look at that sweet face. You have a sweet face too, Miss Bella. Yes, you do. Y'all are super sweet, and I love you.